let's talk about Blender's real estate or the areas. So if you notice up here, Blender has a top menu, which is constant, and a status bar, which is also constant. And what I mean by constant, if you change the different layouts over here, if you have modeling layout on the tab, you'll see that the top menu and the status bar still stays. Same thing with sculpting, UV editing, texture paint, shading, animation, rendering, compositing, geometry, nodes, scripting, and you could add more tabs here. If I go back to the original layout you have here, you have the original layout. Now, all those tabs, all these layouts, actually, they're not a special mode in Blender. You have access to them all the time. If you notice here, Blender is actually split up in different areas, right? And these areas, you can actually change what type of editor there will be, which we'll go over later. So, like this one, you can make them all, this is an outliner, right? But you could also change that to a 3D view, which is the same as that. Or you could change it back to the outliner. And you could do this as well, change that to an outliner. Or change it back to the 3D viewport. All of these could do the same thing. But let's talk about the top menu for here. The top menu, the constant of all of them, you'll see that it always will have like the Blender icon, which you'll have the about, which in a lot of softwares it's in their help. But you have the about, which you get the splash screen and other things as well. You have the file, the edit, render, window, and help. On the bottom, you have the status bar, which basically gives you information on the active tool. Like it tells you what it will happen in context of where you mouse over. You'll see down here, things will change based off what you have. Like if I highlight over here, you'll see I could select if I use the left mouse button or box drag. And same thing here, it tells you what to do. You could also hide this if you hover over the edge of it. You'll see the icon change to double arrows. You could drag down, and to bring it back, well, that's the timeline. Let me click it back over here. You just hover over the edge and bring it back up. Another thing you could do is maximize any one of these areas by hovering over it, which makes it context specific or context sensitive, meaning that what area you're hovering over, that's the area will be affected. So for example, if I hover over the viewport over here and I press Control Spacebar or equivalent on, this is a Windows. If you're on a Mac, it might be equivalent like Command Spacebar, and it will maximize that area. So you could press it again, Control Spacebar. If I hover over here, the outliner, Control Spacebar will maximize it. Same thing. Control Spacebar over here. And you can do the same thing on the timeline. And you could edit. You could drag at different points in time. So if you're working on a specific area and you want to have more real estate for it, Control Spacebar to bring that over. Something that's very specific to Blender and makes it unique compared to other 3D packages, it favors having split areas, as I mentioned before, as opposed to having floating windows. So one way you could do to split the areas, well, not just split the areas, you could split, join, or basically resize the areas, is that if you hover over the edge of an area, you could move it, drag it, and resize it. So you could do that if you select a vertical edge, it will resize it like that, or you could choose a horizontal edge and resize it. Now, if you want to split an area, when you're hovering over an edge, if you right click, it will ask you, okay, do you want to split for, split vertical or vertical split or horizontal split? And then you could like join areas and now swap areas too. So if you do vertical split, you're going to get a line within and you could split it here. Now, if you want to join that area back, you could right click and say join areas, and where you mouse over, that's the area it's going to join over. And you'll see the arrow of the icon in this case will show which one will get stomped over. So the left, if I do over here, that means the left area, it's going to overtake the right area. So if I go on an edge again, and I choose horizontal split. Also, it depends from the edge. If I go on the other side, which area that's adjacent to this edge that's the area is going to split. So if I did this over here, I'll have like two outliners, right? So you could have two different views. If I want to join the area, right click again, say join area, and you could choose which one. Okay. I'll just show you like the split areas, swap areas. So if I do vertical split, and you see I could choose the left side or right side because they're adjacent areas. I'll choose this one. And as I mentioned before, you could change the editor in each area. So if I change this, let's say to outliner, and then later on I said, okay, well, you know what? I want the arrangement, the outliner to be over here. I could go on the edge again, right click, choose swap areas, and there you go. That the two adjacent areas that are adjacent to the edge will swap. And again, to get rid of it, right click, say join areas, and you have the arrow, and I'll point to join that area for that. Another way to split areas that's probably faster than right clicking. You could do this if you want, but another way is if you go into the corner of an area where you see the icon turns into like a cross, click and drag. If you drag within the area, it will split it how you drag it. In this case, it will split it vertically, right? Which is cool. So you could do that. If you want to rejoin that area, if I click that corner, but instead of dragging within, I drag on the other side of the edge of the area. See, this will split it, but if I go, oh, actually, I did the edge. So let me just rejoin that. If I take this and then just, instead of dragging here, just right away drag onto the other area, it will join it. So you could drag up to split, for example. I could take this and drag down right away to join, or I could drag from the corner within to the left and it'll split it vertically in this case. And again, if I want to join, if I click and I cross the edge right away, then it'll join. So let me just do that again. If I take this and drag within the area, it's going to split the area. Same thing, if I drag and split, let's say drag within the area and up, it's going to split it. It makes a horizontal edge over here. To join them, if I want to join the bottom, take the corner, but drag right away down across that adjacent edge. If I want to join here, take the corner, drag it across the adjacent edge right away. Same thing here. So this is probably new if you're coming from other 3D packages, but just practice a bit and you'll get the hang of it. And you'll see you can work pretty quickly. And if you notice all these other areas, these are shortcuts, but you can make your own layout or you could replicate all these layouts because all they're doing is splitting the areas and then choosing one of the editors so sculpting, it's in sculpt mode. It basically choosing the editors with the areas they split, but you could create your own or create your own tab, which will show later. Now, if you make any mistakes, let's say I did this and you're new to it, take a corner. You could do corners from the left side or the right side, and you don't know how to get back, or let's say I'm just changing to different editors, and I don't know what they are and I don't know how to fix it. You could practice at the beginning and then just choose File, New, General, and don't save because we didn't do anything in our scene yet. So practice this a bit until you get used to it. It will help you in your workflow later on.
Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.